Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest Chapter 129 is finally out, and finally you're actually getting into some action and setup for matchups. And let's just say I was not expecting anything that was going on with the reveals in this chapter with the matchups. I honestly expected something a bit more simple for everyone else, but I gotta admit, the surprises were much worth it, and we even got some new characters introduced. And the surprise reveal for the next matchup at the end of this chapter was something I was just not expecting at all, so I'm honestly excited to see what happens next. So let's hit that intro and get right into the video. Chapter 129 of 100 Years Quest, titled Genai and Kotetsu. This chapter starts off directly from last time, where Rogue is spying in on Gold Owl's hideout, as Gray, Wendy, and Carla are tied up in front of all these different alchemists of this guild, as they try to struggle to get out of the rope. And it's revealed, a lot of people are wondering, why tie them up with rope? Can't they just get out of it with their magic? Turns out they transmuted magic sealing stone into ropes. So essentially, they're sealing off their ability to use magic by tying them up. That's actually really cool and really smart. Except for the fact that they transmuted the stone into rope, as now, after explaining all this, the rope was immediately cut by a rogue who appeared from out of the shadows, as he literally just stated, okay, yeah, it's really cool that you turned it into rope so you can tie people up with it, but if you left it as stone, it wouldn't be that easy to cut. Kind of showing these group of alchemists hubris and overconfidence, thinking that they could just use their alchemy to do anything, and they kind of did not think about the part of someone actually breaking in and potentially trying to save them and cut the ropes. Anyway, these guys react thinking that Rogue's from Fairy Tail, but he says, don't lump me in with these guys, as he then uses a Shadow Dragon Slash to basically just wipe out a lot of these grunts in an instant. Then Gray joins in, as he uses an Ice Make Lance to hit even more of these grunts. Wendy is wondering what's going on, as Lictor and Frosch meet up with Carla, and they all just do an absolute beatdown of the Gold Owl Guild members, with even Wendy throwing in a Sky Dragon's Roar for a good measure. Gray then says he doesn't really care much about alchemy, doesn't even see that it's such a big deal. These guys are still pretty weak, but Rogue then tells him to stay on guard as he senses something other than magic approaching them. As the Golden Owl guy, I don't really care for his name, he's irrelevant, ends up realizing something as two figures in shadow appear, and when we finally have to reveal, as these characters are called Genai and Kotetsu. And Genai, I saw this image on Twitter. People are already going with the fact that this guy looks like Kozuki Oden from One Piece. First of all, Kozuki Oden is based off of a kabuki theater actor, and that is what Kotetsu looks like. Though I don't really blame people for thinking that, but obviously that is not the case. Just because you have a guy that's like 6-7 feet tall, wearing a kabuki robe, and those giant ropes on his back with the makeup and the top knot in the head, he's not Odin. But I honestly think that this rational thinking that I'm giving is not going to help the Fairy Tail haters just not think that this is a One Piece ripoff. Seriously, everyone just keeps pulling at straws. I'll give them this, there is a similarity, but that's only because they have the same influence. That's literally it. Though Kotetsu, they think that he is supposed to represent King. He looks like every edgelord, ninja, swordsman from any anime. Seriously, this is a common look. Just the design is relatively cool for this scene. It's not King, it's not a gimp suit. It's spikes and belts all over it. It's literally just a leather suit. That's literally like a biker suit with a mask covering his face. Anyway, that little rant over, they walk in. Genai says to stand back as Kotetsu wants the materials, as it was stated that the wizard's magic power is used for prime alchemy material, as this non-useful alchemy guy explains once again, and he states that he reported everything that happened at the labyrinth to the Master of Golden Owl, and he wanted to get the Fairy Tail Wizards because he was very interested in their magic power. He continues to boast as Genai ends up saying sigh, and he then turns this guy into smoke, as well as all of the other Golden Owl grunts as well, as they just start evaporating and turning into smoke. Ray thinks this is smoke magic, but Genai says that this is actually smoke alchemy to be precise. And before we actually get the start of that matchup, which I think we're going to get into next chapter, we cut back to Natsu's group as him, Yukino, and Sting begin to rush towards the cave where Lucy and Happy are. He runs in, catches the old lady off guard as he was wondering what did she do to them, as Lucy just says that she didn't really do anything. Sting goes up to threaten her, saying what did they kidnap them for, as the old lady says you wouldn't harm a frail old lady, but Natsu moves Sting aside and just punches the old lady right into the air, as he just says, mess with my friends, doesn't matter if you're old or a kid. Sting and Yukino are kind of comedically shocked as Lucy and Happy are like, yeah, that's Natsu for you. Honestly, this was kind of hilarious, but I can kind of understand it. Anyway, Natsu breaks them out of the cage, and Natsu hilariously comes up with some weird line saying like, Sting, you can do dirty things to this old lady if you want. And he's like, why would I do that? Because remember, last chapter, Sting was kind of putting this weird image in Natsu's head that people in captivity can end up being subjected to weird or pervy stuff. It was a funny gag. This one I kind of found funny. But yeah, they end up realizing that they wanted them to be materials for alchemy, and that they just wanted wizards in general. Not really fairy tale wizards, but wizards in general. As someone walks in from the shadows saying, to be more precise, it is the magic power of fairy tale wizards. So it is fairy tale wizards they really want, while any wizard would be nice. But fairy tale in particular they're interested in, as the shadowy figure is revealed to be Athena, standing before Natsu's group. She then introduces herself as Athena, and she's here to pick up the prisoners. As everyone realizes this is the Athena they're looking for, as Natsu's getting ready to basically ask her something and maybe actually start fighting her, he then starts crying out of nowhere, wondering what's going on. But the same thing happens to Sting, Rogue, and Lucy, as Athena then smirks, saying that she just transmuted their tears, and that is her power. Ending the chapter. So, again, short fairy tale chapter, all things considered. I have to be honest, I like covering fairy tale, but with how big the gaps are between chapters and how not too much happens, it does kind of feel like a slog unless actual fights are going on. So, now it feels like things are starting to heat up. Was honestly debating that when it comes to these arcs, I might just skip all the setup, because the videos would just be way too short and not too much for me to talk about, and then just get right into when the arcs actually really get heated with the fights and everything. I'm still deciding on that, but I'll just cover the chapters as they come out for now. Either way, this chapter took all my predictions out of the water and actually gave me some really nice things. While we're not getting Sting versus God Serena like I was kind of hoping for, to see if he would pick up where Gagio left off, him, Gray, and Wendy are going to fight off against two brand new characters that are introduced right here, and one of them uses smoke alchemy. So I'm curious to see how that's going to be utilized in the fight. And the more interesting portion is Natsu's group, that they end up having to fight Athena, where the last arc basically set up that they have to find this weapon before Ignia does. So with how things are going, they're probably going to lose to Athena first until they figure out what her powers are. Then they're going to have a rematch with her. But I'm curious to see what she meant by she transmuted their tears. Like, she can alter their bodies on their own, or the moisture in the air. I'm curious to see how alchemy is really utilized in the fairy tale verse. It's not 100% explained, though it does seem to still go off the marks of, trading something for something else of equal value to create something, like the whole Full Metal Alchemist type deal of equivalent exchange for the laws of alchemy. We do get that whole thing in detail. But this is what I'm excited for the most, and if I'm being honest, we're probably still going to have like the easiest route be Minerva's, as she's going off to find Urza and Jalal. But if Athena went to go pick up the prisoners, which was Lucy and Happy, Minerva might either run into the two sisters, God Serena, or even the Master himself, as those are the only named characters that we have not seen from Golden Owl, and those are the high-ranking members. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. Or if Minerva will actually just get the easy route and just save Urza and Jalal, and they end up going to meet up with everyone else and help with their fights. But yeah, that was the chapter. I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm very curious about the Athena fight and how she works out, and honestly, with her introduced, either Diablos will make a reappearance and they'll actually do something with them being allies now, but I feel like we're really zeroing in on the Sabretooth team up here, so I'd love to see how they combo attack with Fairy Tail. But obviously, since Inya's basically going to be looking for Athena now too, he's probably going to make an appearance at some point in this arc, as he's being set up to be the end game protagonist right now. So I'm very excited, and I'm curious to see if we'll get set up for the Gold Dragon God as well, since we're dealing with Golden Owl. But yeah, that's basically the chapter. Not too much for me to talk about. Relatively quick to go through. Not too much action, not too much to really go over, as it's more or less a lot of the same stuff that we knew, just with the setup of 2 of the different fights that we're going to be seeing. But what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. Do you think Minerva's going to have the easy route, or is she going to fight off against like the Golden Owl Master, the 2 sisters, or Serena as she goes to rescue Urza Jalal? Do you think Igni is going to show up in this arc? Will Diablos make a reappearance in some way, shape, or form? Or do you think that it's just going to focus just on Sabretooth and Fairy Tail, which I think would be good, just to focus on these 2 groups as they don't really interact all too much anymore? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help, and I do want to make more Fairy Tail content in the future, so let me know what you'd like to see me do. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you all have an awesome day.